Well, I grew up in Waverly. I was actually born in Chicago.
Okay.
And then spent a little time in California, but ultimately was adopted in Waverly, Nebraska, just right down the road, like 37 miles from where we're at right now.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the Look Like Somebody podcast. I'm your host, Ricky C. Simmons. Hey, listen, I need everybody to hit that subscribe button. We want to get this message out there. Love positivity. I can't help myself. It's just a part of who I am. And today is no different. You know, I told you guys I would go out and get guests that are on a positive note. Man, I hit a home run today, and I'm very excited about it. Matt Warner, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ricky. I love being here.
Well, Matt, I'll be honest with you, man. I asked you to be on, and I know we tried in the past, and we had some scheduling issues, but I'm glad it worked out to where you were able to come in, because I really want people to understand who you are, what you have accomplished, and what you're still working on. Is kind of the theme of this show. So let's just go back to the beginning. Where is Matt Warner from, man?
Well, I grew up in Waverly. I was actually born in Chicago.
Okay.
And then spent a little time in California, but ultimately was adopted in Waverly, Nebraska, just right down the road, like 37 miles from where we're at right now.
Oh,
so,
okay.
By a farm family, and I grew up there on the farm, been in a tractor since I was 5 years old, and was there. Actually was there all the way up till I was 29 years old.
Huh. Well, Matt, you know, growing up in Waverly, a small town.
It is a small town. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Waverly a few times. I know how small it is. What was that experience like for you? You said you grew up on a farm pretty much?
Yeah, grew up on a farm. So during the summertime, we were in the fields all the time. I've had a pretty good work ethic, just because on the farm the cattle and the hogs don't feed themselves. So
Correct.
you gotta be there every day taking care of them. Also grew up every Sunday going to church. We actually didn't work on Sundays. We were a farm family that if we had to feed the cattle or take care of animals, of course, we did that on Sundays. But then we went to church together, and that's kind of how we grew up. It was a family event, just even going to church. A small country church way out in the country, literally on a gravel road, like 10 miles out in the country.
Well, let me ask you this. When you guys when you were growing up in Waverly, I'm assuming you went to high school there, middle school and high school.
Yep,
there.
elementary, middle, and high school. Yep.
Now, after high school, what was next for Matt, man?
So after high school, I tried college for a little while, like for maybe a semester.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't even make it a semester, and I just figured out that it wasn't the place for me. And I didn't really fit in, and I just wanted to work. I enjoyed working, and I thought, well, I'm going to be a farmer anyhow. And college was expensive, and we weren't a wealthy family by any means, so college was kind of up on my own to figure out. So I just said, forget this. I'm just going to go to work. And so I went to work on the farm. I also started a trucking company right about that same time when I was 19 years old, and I grew it pretty good, but I wasn't very responsible with my money, and I didn't really take good care of it, and I didn't take care of my people. And I was just motivated to be wealthy. I wasn't, or I should say, not even wealthy. I wanted to just make $1 million. That's what my goal was. And I ended up actually at 29, I ran that in the ground and failed miserably and filed bankruptcy. And it was super humiliating. And that's kind of when I had to go get a job. And I left the farm, and I literally called up a friend of mine, Craig Gaina, and I said, hey, I'm leaving the farm. I need a job. I can run equipment. What do you have? And I've known him. I knew him through FFA and had gotten to be friends. He had actually married a girl that rode on my school bus.
Okay.
So I could relate to him. And he said, hey, be here Monday. Be here Monday at 6 a.m. and we'll put you to work. I didn't have a resume, interview, nothing. He just said, come on, let's go.
Wow. That's the power of having a good friend.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So he gave me my first shot. Matter of fact, I really enjoyed working for him, but then I kind of saw opportunities, and I wanted to grow my career and figure out who I was, right? I'm married, got kids, I'm broke, filed bankruptcy, lost everything. I just needed to figure out who the heck I was.
You know, that right there alone is enough to make the average person just say, you know what? to heck with this. You know, I'm just going to get out here and do whatever and just try to make ends meet. But that wasn't your approach.
No, well, so I really, all of a sudden I started working for some really good companies, and I started seeing some of the positive things that they were doing. And Landscapes Unlimited is a place, I worked for Mr. Kubley there, under, I think the president at that time, his name was Jim Barger, and they would send out like even newsletters, and they were all positive, and just the training was positive, and they would bring you in and they would pour into you. And I thought, man, this is good. If I ever do business again, I want to be a positive person. And I even remember when I first went to work for Craig, Ricky, we were broke, right? We didn't have any money. So I went to Walmart and I bought the cheapest pair of boots I could. And I figured out right away that is not a good thing to do when you're going to be on your feet all day long and walking on uneven ground and walking on job sites. And so I quickly said, okay, my feet are killing me. I had blisters. They hurt. And I can remember saying, all right, Lord, if I ever get another chance to do business again, I'm going to buy everybody boots. That way they have good shoes.
Right.
And then there's also this story about this guy that had a supper one time with 12 of his buddies. And even though 2 of them were going to betray him, he still washed everybody's feet. So I thought, well, this is a good way for me, one, to take care of people's feet, but also to give other people blessings, right? It's just a small blessing to have a good pair of boots. So I don't know if you've heard that story about that guy that washed the feet, you know?
Yeah, definitely heard that.
And by the way, that's how I always tell it. I always say, you know, there's this dude, he's pretty famous. I mean, he hung out with 12 of his buddies. He washed their feet, even though 2 of them were going to betray him. But so it's kind of my gift now to everybody at our company. We have a lot of people, and we're a growing company. But we buy everybody a pair of boots every year, and that came from my struggles, that my feet hurt, and I wanted to make an improvement. And I also believe that that's why our company's kind of thriving right now, is because we have taken those bad moments and try to spin them into something positive and something good, and to help other people. And really, servant leadership is who we are, and what my identity that I found when I was out working for these other companies is I want to take care of people. I want to be a servant leader. And so that's really, I needed that time, even though that brokenness of and the humiliation of losing, right?
Right.
And that stung a lot, but it really humbled me, one. I might have been a little cocky when I was. What do you always say, Ricky? Ricky likes a little bit of Ricky.
Yeah, I love me some Ricky. Yeah, I mean, and that's just the way it is.
When I was younger, I probably liked me a little bit of Mateo. That's my alter ego. I always my Hispanic friends always call me Mateo, so that's my alter ego. But it really helped me kind of build this idea of putting things in my head of saying, you know what, I can do this better. And I could do this, and we could do this. So I had all these ideas in my head, and I finally had an opportunity in 2009 to start my own company again. And boy, was I scared. That was scary.
Because you failed miserably.
Miserably. Yeah. I ran that sucker right into the ground.
Say, if you want to know how to mess up something, you did.
I can do it. Yeah, I can tell you. I got the book.
So you got the blueprint.
I got it.
Well, boom. Let me ask you this. Now, when you started, you said 09, right?
Yes, 2009. I can't remember what the actual date was, so we always say it's April 1st, just because that was April Fool's Day, right? Yeah. Because only a fool would start during the one of the worst economies, that we had going on. And I remember I had an opportunity to do a project. And this is a great little story. I hope you don't mind if I go on a buddy trail.
Please.
So this is a great little story. So I had an opportunity to do a project in West Point, Nebraska, and the superintendent said, "Hey, I need help doing this. Will you help me?" And it was a pretty good sized project. It was probably about $250,000 project.
Oh, okay.
But I needed to buy some material, and I needed to form a company quick, and I didn't even have a name, so I called it MJWK, which stands for nothing. It really does. I named it that so if I failed again, nobody would recognize me. Because I was I was so scared that I was just gonna. I didn't have the confidence that I needed to just say, let's go. So in 2009, I started this company. I went to all the major banks. I went to all the major banks in Lincoln and in Omaha, and I had no credit, right? Remember, because earlier I'd filed bankruptcy, and it had been 7 years, so I was past the bad part because I did Chapter 13. I had to make a whole bunch of payments and blah blah blah. That's a boring part. That's the boring part of the story.
Gotcha.
So I go around to all these banks, right? And all I needed was $30,000. I just needed $30,000 to do this project because I had to put a down payment on some material to get the material to order. I had zero credit. Every door got shut on me.
Wow.
So finally, one of my friends said, hey, there's a small country bank way out in Elmwood. And I was like, there's a bank in Elmwood, Nebraska? I had to even look it up and say, where is Elmwood? Elmwood's over here. Okay. Oh, yeah, I know where that's at. So I go over there. I walk in, and lo and behold, it's my Sunday school teacher's husband. And he's like, Matt, what are you doing here? I said, well, Mr. Westland, I've got a story for you. If you got a second, I'd like to see if you could help me out. And I started talking to him, and he was kind of ignoring me a little bit. And he was doing on his computer, and I was actually recast a little bit like, hey, I'm talking here, man.
Right.
And so finally I get to talking about this job and that I finally got my license. And matter of fact, Klein Williams, Kevin Schneider, he helped me get my all of my official ICC license and everything I needed to be legit. And then I went to Inspro, and Ryan Glock, he helped me get a little bit of insurance for this shop. All I needed was $30,000. I had everything else figured out. And I thought he was ignoring me. And all of a sudden he goes, I'll be right back. And he gets up and he walks out of the office, and I'm sitting there, and I'll never forget. I'm thinking,
this isn't going
to be good. He's not even listening to me. He come over and he slid the piece of paper over, and he said, sign here and here to open up your account. Sign here and here, and we're gonna go ahead and give you a $50,000 line of credit off of this contract that you have. Based off of it, you have to bring me the contract. I didn't even have the contract with me, Ricky. He gave that to me, and I get a little emotional on this part. See that?
I got
Sorry about that.
No, it's understandable.
Maybe the green screen can make all that go away.
No, we want that.
So he said, I'm going to go ahead and put that $30,000 in the account for you. You can advance it this afternoon if you need it. And I was like, I told him, I said, well, you heard the part I told you I filed bankruptcy 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, yep. I go, and you heard the part that I don't have any money, right? He goes, yep. We believe in you.
Wow.
No, he never ran my credit score, nothing. Isn't that crazy?
Unbelievable.
So that's why I say April 1st, because I don't really remember what day I went into the bank, because it was just all, here they come. See, I get a little, just because somebody gave me a chance.
Yes.
And you know what? That's part of what I think we need in life is every once in a while, just give somebody a chance.
Yes.
So many of these success stories, Murray State.
Oh, absolutely.
They are CWS. All they needed was a chance, and they took advantage of it, and they made it to the big show. They didn't do so well, but holy cow, how about that, huh?
You got there.
I gotta clean myself up here, Ricky. I'm a doggone it. I get a little emotion on that story.
That's okay.
So anyhow, in 2009, we did that project, and I executed it. I was there every day. I executed it to perfection. And matter of fact, the guy that was the superintendent of school, him and I still talk about. He said you did not leave a stone unturned. You did more than what was expected. I was so scared, and boy, I couldn't wait to get that money right back into that bank to get that $30,000 paid back. But here's what's crazy. Years later, I went to that bank, and I said, "Why did you take a chance on me?" And they said, "We knew that you wouldn't fail." Because you knew what failure looked like.
Correct.
So, doggone it, Ricky, I got to clean myself up here. I'm sorry here.
That's okay. That's all right.
I think that sometimes I'll take a chance on somebody that's failed before somebody that's never experienced failure, because failure really stands for first attempt in learning. That's what failure, the word fail, that's what we teach at Empire. We want you to fail and fail fast, because most of the time, and I've learned this in business, is most businesses that are stagnant and then they're scared to make a decision. They're scared to move that forward because they don't want to fail. I've already failed 3 times before they get their first product out or their first thing out. And that's what's helping us grow so much, is our confidence that it's okay to fail sometimes.
Well, first of all, I'm going to still fail. So when you hear that again, just know I got you.
I sign up for it sometimes. I'm like, yep, that probably won't work, but we're going to do it anyhow.
Well, let me ask you this. Now,
yes, sir.
You started your company and it grew after that one deal.
No, oh my goodness. So it took me. So get this. I finally I had a hard time making ends meet, so I had to get another job, and I worked for a construction company in Lincoln. A good friend of mine was just starting a company, Justin Hernandez. And so he asked me, he said, hey, why don't you come and help me? You can still do your side hustle stuff, but help me a little bit. Well, we grew his company, and then him and I parted ways on August 24th at 2:37 p.m. We parted ways. We didn't see eye to eye on a couple things, and we parted ways. It was kind of abrupt. It was kind of a quick done.
Right.
So, that was the day that I remember I called home and I said, hey, we're going to go all in on this Empire. We're going to go all in, and I'm going to put my whole heart into this thing. And I was making pretty decent money working for Justin, and that was awesome. I loved it. I was able to save some money, and everything that we were doing at Empire behind the scenes, because I had a couple of people already working for me there, even though I wasn't there full time, right?
Right.
I was the part, but I burned the boats on August 24th at 2:37, 2014, and I went all in. I took over the island. I don't know if you've heard that story about burning the boats, and
yes.
And that if you want to take over the island, you have to have no exit strategy. So I went all in.
No plan B.
No plan B. Yeah. That's right. I just went with plan A, and so 2015 was really my first full year of waking up every day saying, let's go, and getting excited and really trying to figure out who we were and where our specialty was. Now, we are a fence company. It's Empire Netting and Fence, but we do netting. Ricky, we've done netting from Puerto Rico to Hawaii, from North Dakota, clear down into South America. And now we have a manufacturing side that we can manufacture some products. We manufacture our own dugouts. We have a padding shop. We manufacture our own padding with all different brands. We have Empire, Unlimited Sports Solutions, ESC, and then we actually even have a Wave Fitness where we have batting tunnels and stuff there in Waverly. But that's more of a community give back, and we try to get kids in there to work on their skills or whatever, give them a place to go so they have a place to go and get better at whatever they're doing. So 2015 was really kind of a rough year because I was trying to bid jobs, I was trying to execute jobs, I was trying to manage the books, and then the good Lord gave us a couple good people. So it really started with 4 of us. It's Scott, Jamie, myself, and Sarah. And we started in my kitchen.
Okay.
And in 2014, we were in my kitchen. 2015, we found a spot in Lincoln. We finally moved to Lincoln, and we had a spot right there in Havelock area.
Yep.
And it wasn't the nicest place, but it was super affordable. So we made that work for a little while. Then 2017, we landed this great job way down in Tulsa. Oh my goodness, it was so much fun. And they had said that they couldn't find anybody crazy enough to do it, and that's how they got my number. So word of mouth, they're like, "Hey, we got your number from such and such. They said you're just crazy enough to do this project." And I said, "You better believe it. Let's go. How soon you want me there?" And that ended up being a really good job and a big job. That we had made enough money to put a down payment on a building in Waverly. And that's really, probably 2018 is when it really started to, the hockey stick trajectory really started to take off. And oh my goodness, Ricky, about that time is, about 2017 is about when we discovered our Monday morning meetings.
Man, I've got to tell you guys something before we go into that. You know, this Monday morning meetings I've witnessed myself. I want everybody to know what I know about that. So tell us about the Monday morning meeting.
So,
why they started.
And by the way, I loved it that you came out and did a speech, told your story to my team, and we had dinner.
Right.
And then the next Monday, that was on Friday, the next Monday, you attended one of our Monday morning meetings.
Correct.
And I told you, this is my way to give back to you so you can see how we pour into our people.
Yes.
So this all started that we had to do a weekly toolbox talk, a weekly safety topic. And I said, okay, we'll just get together. I think there was maybe 9 or 10 of us at that time. I said, we'll get together every Monday at 7 o'clock, and we'll do this toolbox talk, a safety topic, ladder safety, harness safety, hydrate safety, whatever safety it is.
Right.
And I had a new young man come, and he gave me the worst handshake ever, Ricky. and I was like, oh my goodness, that is not how we shake hands. You shake my hand. Yeah. And I told him, I said, open up your hand nice and wide. And I said, don't you all know how to shake hands? What's the matter with all of you? Well, that inspired an idea that every Monday we're going to do a life skill, a leadership skill, and a safety topic. And we've been doing them ever since. We've done 398 in a row.
Wow. Every Monday morning.
Every Monday, 7 a.m. And we teach so many things. So the structure of the meeting is that, Ricky, life's tough.
Correct.
And it's hard to keep your glass full all week long, right?
Absolutely.
So my goal is to start that Monday with the absolute fullest glass of water that we can get. I want everybody inspired. We listen to some music. So when you walk in, there's music playing. We are upbeat, and we start a little bit early, because I always say if you're not early, you're not on time. So
correct.
And that's how we teach them to be on time, is that it's extremely important. If you're late, I dismiss you. You don't get to be in the Monday morning meeting.
Right.
So with that being said, we always meet in a circle, because I believe that the Knights of the Round Table met in a circle to show equality and to show friendship. They can see each other. They can collaborate. So we meet in a circle, because when you're in that circle, it doesn't matter if you're a brand new day one installer or if you're Jamie and Scott that have been with me since the beginning. It doesn't matter. We're all equal in this circle. And then we do a safety topic. Safety Tommy delivers a topic now. I used to have to do that. I hated that part. But I used to have to do that part. And then I'll usually do a life skill. The life skill could be something as simple as, hey, everybody, when you're standing in that Walmart line and the person running the cash register looks like they're having a bad day, see if you can just get them to smile. Maybe just say something nice. Right. Maybe just try to be polite. That could be a life skill, right? Right. And then there's a leadership skill that we usually try to deliver. Like this week, I was talking about be in the know. We need to be in the know. And what is in the know? The know is information that not everybody is aware of. So let's be in the know. And by the way, be in the know of wisdom. Wisdom is something that we all have, but if you don't share your wisdom with other people in your team, they're not going to grow their wisdom.
Correct.
So share your idea, train your replacement, teach somebody to do your job. You want to make more money? You want to get promoted? Great. You have to get better at your job. I can't do that for you.
No, that's on them.
That's on them. Right. I can give you some tools and I can give you a tool belt. But if you don't learn how to read that tape measure and you don't learn how to run that saw or run the equipment, I can't help you.
Right.
And that's when we talk about this openly and honestly. We also try to implement what we call straight talk. And that is something that most companies are missing. Straight talk comes with trust. In order for you and I to build trust, I have to be honest with you. I have to tell you that you're not doing a very good job in your job today. What do we need to do better, and how can we address it? And I got this from Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey has become a good friend of mine now. And I really appreciate his. He wrote the book Speed of Trust, and if anybody out there, I'm going to do a plug for him. We're not getting paid for this, but I'm going to tell you, it'll change your perspective of how to deal with your coworkers and how to build a trusting relationship. Because if you can build trust, you can get things done faster and better, and you're more positive, happier mindset.
I agree with that concept because, man, a lot of times as a society, we don't seem to get along for whatever reason. Everybody has the right to believe and think what they want. I get it. But as a company, you started with the basics within the company.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there was a lot of times, there was one time I think I had 8 paychecks sitting there that I couldn't afford to cash. But I also, there's this book out there that says, if you have a company, you need to eat first. I hated that philosophy.
Right.
I eat last.
I got you.
I'm the leader. Leaders eat last. And I got that from Simon Sinek. So there's these people out there, and I'm trying to inspire other leaders. I'm trying to do my part, but I'm not a Simon Sinek, and I'm not a Stephen Covey, and I'm sure as heck not a John Maxwell or anybody of those great authors and great leaders. But I will tell you this. I started studying them, and I made myself to become more valuable in our company so I could be the leader, the type of leader that inspired other people to want to lead. Because that's true leadership, Ricky.
Yes.
That's how you get. Now we have about 150 people. And I'm telling you, I don't think we're slowing down.
Well, I was just talking to you before the show, and you had mentioned to me that you guys went from what you started off and what you've already shared to where you are currently, which is how many businesses?
Well, there's 6 businesses, 3 real estate arms, and then we have an office in Kansas City, and we just opened up a new powder coating. We bought half of a powder coating company. The current owner there, he didn't really have an exit strategy, so he came to me, and he was great at powder coating. I like the people side of business. And you know what, Ricky? It's so funny. I'll tell people that we have 150 people, and the first thing they say is, "Oh, I don't want that headache."
Yes.
And I'm like, I love that headache.
Absolutely.
The people's why I'm doing it. we build fence. That's the widget, or we build nets, or we are in the sports construction. That's what we do. But our why is the people.
Correct.
When I get to see a young man that tells me, and I told you this story, hey, Matt, my girlfriend thinks I work for a cult.
This is a funny story. Please listen.
I was like offended. I'm like, what are you talking about? A cult? We're not a cult. She goes, or he says, yeah, she said that I wake up every morning and I can't wait to get to work. And she's never seen me like this. And I said, well, wait a minute. Maybe we are a cult.
Yeah.
We're a good cult.
Exactly.
A place that people want to come and get better and grow together and do work together. Listen, we spend 40 to 50 hours a week with our coworkers. We don't spend that much time with our family.
Correct.
Why not have an environment that's positive, upbeat? And I'm going to tell you, that means good culture is so important to me. I told my team, I don't care how big you want to grow this thing. You guys go. But there's 2 things that have to happen. 1, we have to be a profit center. We have to make money because you can't take care of people if you're not making any money.
Correct.
2, we have to maintain our culture. And we're going to only grow as long as we can manage the culture. If we can manage the culture and take care of that, if we can continue to be a cult that makes people smile and happy,
right.
and even though we're going to have bad days.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? We've had this week, we've had 2 or 3 people quit. It just wasn't the place for them. And doggone it, that's okay.
Right.
Go and do what you want to do. And by the way, I support it. If you give us a 2-week notice, we'll hire you back if things don't work out. It's okay, but we're not for everybody. We're not trying to be for everybody.
And that's important too, man. And the reason why I say it's important is the fact that you guys are willing to work with everybody and even be understanding if they don't want to be there for whatever reason. You get the opportunity, if you don't like the grass being not as green on the other side as you thought, you'll even give them another opportunity.
I will, because sometimes people need to go try that grass on the other side, but sometimes they realize that the only reason why it's grass is because there's a septic tank underneath it. and I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to pick on other people, but we see this shiny grass, but really it might be full of crap.
Correct.
I'm just being honest.
Hey, and I couldn't agree with you more because, I think, Matt, one of the things that I really, really respect about your company in particular is even though and I know we've had this talk before too, so I'm going to say it, you don't like to be known currently as the owner.
Nope.
I get it.
I don't like it. I've chosen the name Founder.
And
I got it started, and that's all I want to know.
But you know what, though, Matt? Here's the thing. When you got to this position to where you could be called the founder versus the owner or whatever, look at from where you started and go through that whole little timeline that you've shared with us. And, I mean, you go from needing $30,000 to just start. And I'm not trying to put your business in the street, Matt, but I feel pretty comfortable saying that you have been very successful.
We as a team, we've had a lot of success. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I do believe that I've had some influence on that, and that's why I like the name Founder. But right now, Ricky, I'm going to tell you what. I've got so many people that are so much smarter and so much better at what they do than I do. I am not our best estimator anymore. I'm not our best project manager. I'm not even the best installer. I had a guy tell me the other day, he's like, Matt, I want to buy a fence from your company, and I want you to install it. I said, oh, you don't want me to install it. I'm horrible anymore. I used to be pretty good, but I've lost all that skill set because I'm now working on how do I grow people, not fences. Right, so my focus is the people and how we're doing. And by the way, we don't always get it right. And if anybody's watching this and they worked for us and we crossed you, we probably did mess up. I'll openly admit that.
Right.
We're not always the best company. We've made mistakes. But I will tell you this, we will always try to make ourselves better. We love to win. Matter of fact, I tell people all the time, I hate losing way more than I like winning. Right. I don't want to lose, and I don't want to lose good people. And that's why we are where we're at. We want to bring in people that want to be a part of this. And most people, Ricky, that come and work with us end up thriving and growing their net worth. Even if they take a job with us and make less than what they were making, they end up making more in the long run.
You know what really caught my attention was when you said, your humility stands out to me, first of all. And the other thing is you realize that there are people that may be actually better at something than you, and you let them be them.
Ricky, I'm going to be honest with you. Most of them are better at everything they do than me.
But that's okay is what I'm saying.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Because, see, now that gives them ownership, and it also gives them a reason to be accountable and hold others accountable.
Yes.
Because, I mean, like I said, I know it's Founder, but still at the end of the day, there was a time when you could have let that go to your head just off of what you failed in the past. I mean, you had, like you said, you admitted to us, you ran that first one right in the ground.
Boom.
Yeah. I mean, there was no recovery.
No recovery.
And then you was given another opportunity from a person that you never saw coming, a person you didn't even think was listening to you.
Right.
And you turned that into a positive. But see, I'm going to say this. I got to give credit to the fact that you were humble, because sometimes when we get successful, sometimes we get in our own way. The value of people take a hit when people become very successful because they feel at that point they don't need anyone. And I don't get that from you. I see it a lot where people take others for granted, but in reality, without those people that you got at that company that you created, without those people, there's no company.
Yeah, humility is a tough part, right? It's you have to work at being humble.
Trust me, I know firsthand. I mean,
you got a little run in that, did you, Ricky?
I tell everybody, man, listen. They say, Ricky, you're always happy. You're always positive. You're so humble. Those are nice things to hear, but if they only had a clue how hard I work every day at maintaining that.
Yes, sir.
Because sometimes we live in my opinion, we live in a world that don't always reward that.
Right.
So
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, when you don't get rewarded, sometimes people feel like it's worthless. Well, I'm just the opposite.
Yeah.
When I don't get rewarded, here comes that Rickyism, I give myself a pat on the back. Because I know in my heart it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Whether anyone agrees or applauds or claps for that, that's not the reason.
And sometimes too we have to fake it a little bit. And this, so there's a couple of my inner circle friends and I, we've had this controversy about faking it, right?
Okay.
And I believe that sometimes you just got to put a dang smile on your face and fake it, because nobody else deserves to deal with your crap.
Correct.
So when I walk in those doors, those people, they don't deserve to see that I'm struggling with something or that I'm pissed off at something. You know what they deserve? A smile. I honestly believe, too, that if you fake it and you put a smile on your face, that it will rest your mind at ease, because now you're talking to your brain and saying,
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
Stop it.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Stop it.
Right.
So I had a young man tell me the other day, he's like, I don't like it when you tell me to fake it, because I'm not a phony. I don't fake it. I call it the way I see it, and that's who I am. And I said, well, good for you, if that's how you choose to do it.
Yeah.
But my brain doesn't work that way. Correct. Sometimes I got to snap that thing into attention and say, knock that crap off.
Right.
You're going to be in a good mood today, and you're not going to burden all these other people with your little pity party that you happen to be having. And by the way, that's usually what happens, is we have a little pity party.
Yep.
And you get that little voice in the back of your head saying, you deserve that. You deserve that project. You deserve to make a little bit more money. You deserve to have time off on Friday. You deserve to go to that birthday party. And you have to tell that little voice in the back of your head, you shut the hell up.
Right.
You don't deserve that.
Right.
You got to go earn it.
Every day.
Got to wake up and be it. And I think that's why you and I, we struck a chord with each other so quick, is because, one, I love your story of the NFL. I love my favorite part of your story is, playing football wasn't my favorite part of the NFL. It was doing the extracurricular activities.
Correct.
And I was like, okay, now you got my attention.
Right. And, I'll be honest with you. A lot of times, and let me say this before I say what I'm about to say. Your transparency is very much appreciated, because, see, a lot of times people can't be transparent because it's hard to admit that, you know what, especially after success.
Yeah.
It's hard to admit, once I was a failure. For me to get up in front of a room full of people and throw myself under the bus, to me, I think it's empowering, whereas a lot of people would think, man, I couldn't do that because I'm doing well now. I don't want people to know that I once struggled. Well, I disagree with that, and I feel like when you make yourself vulnerable,
right,
people tend to respect that. And seeing respect, to me, is very important. It's hard for someone to respect you when they know you're not being transparent.
And I'll tell you that I think part of our success is that I learned in these Monday morning meetings is I can be a little bit of transparent with my team. And I actually have admitted to them when I'm hurting. But I've also told them, I need your guys' help today to lift me up and tell me to put that on the side and let's go. When my grandmother passed, I broke down in front of the whole company. I cried.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100 and at that time it was about 118 people, I think it was.
Right.
Of my fellow workers, my men and women that I grinded out with every day. And I told them, I said, I'm hurting today.
Yes.
But I'm still here because I'm here with you and I want to be here and I need you. I need all of you to help pick me up today. So let's go.
Yeah.
And we left there with music playing and everybody was happy and people were giving me hugs. But a little bit of that transparency of saying, hey, doggone it, it's okay to hurt a little bit.
Well, it's a part of this thing called life.
Yeah,
no one gets out of this thing without adversity.
Yeah, and by the way, life is undefeated. Death will win.
Oh, Father Time,
he's undefeated.
Yeah, he's undefeated.
Yeah,
that fellow is famous.
He plays the best game there is.
Oh
right?
yeah, and he got patience.
Yeah.
He's got patience. He'll wait. You know, but he know he gonna win in the end. You know, and I try to tell people this all the time. I'm like. They're like, Ricky, man, don't you ever have really bad days? I'm like, yeah, but, you know, I try to overcome those bad days with positive thoughts, positive actions. I know adversity is outside in a parking lot doing push-ups. I understand that while we're sitting here.
Well said.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yes.
So when I get out there, I'll deal with that then.
Yep.
But in the meantime, I'm going to prepare myself mentally. Between the ears is where a lot of these battles are won and lost.
It really is. Hey, but I'll tell you, when you can build a culture at work, though,
correct.
We have this thing. It's called the 8-minute rule. I stole this from Simon Sinek. But if anybody in our company is hurting and they need to let that pity party out a little bit, you have the freedom to ask for 8 minutes from anybody, and we encourage people to listen for 8 minutes. We don't want to counsel. We don't want to give advice, but listen. Yes. Let me get this voice out of my head for 8 minutes and hear my struggle today. And then when that 8 minutes is over, you push that down the road and we go back to work and we jump in. But now you've shared your 8 minutes with somebody so they can maybe. I'm a religious guy, so I like to say take it in prayer. Right. I think the power of prayer is really powerful, and I'm not a pastor, and I'm not a preacher, and I'm nothing like that. Yeah. But I do tell people I believe in the power of prayer, and whatever you happen to believe in, maybe you can meditate on someone's behalf or whatever it is. So we have this 8 minute rule, and I hope that it somehow helps with that mental toughness part of it, because sometimes also. We just need a friend to say, knock it off.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Or, hey, let's go fishing tonight after work.
Yep.
Let's go do something fun.
And, you know, to me, that's one of the most important things that you can do is be a good listener.
Yeah.
When you need to be.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, right?
Correct. And that, to me, makes more sense because sometimes people don't really need solutions or suggestions. They just need to get it off of their chest for whatever reason. So just being that person that can sit there and listen and say, okay, well, what do we do next?
Right.
And let them help with the process. I think sometimes we try to fix people, and I think that's a mistake because we're individuals.
We are.
And we, you know, that means we're all different. So what works with this person may not work with the next person. And what works for me may not work for you. But the catch is, if you know I really genuinely care, I think that carries weight.
Right.
Yeah. And see, your company, one thing I can say about your company, man, is no one is really making them have a positive attitude and show up on those Monday morning meetings. But I can say from experience, they was there. And right. I didn't see anybody being forced to be there. It was understood.
Yeah, it's part of our routine.
Yes.
And I will tell you, I tell people, listen, you don't have to come, but it's not optional.
That's a nice way to say be
there.
Yeah.
And be on time, right? Because we're teaching more than that. But we do track when people aren't there. And if we see a pattern, we'll reach out to them and say, why aren't you there?
Right.
We want you there. We're trying to We're trying to lean into you. We're trying to give you confidence to get through the day. We're trying to be a better company than just an average fence company.
Right,
We're trying to be, or manufacturing company, or we're trying to lean into our people and say, we want to start on a positive note. And I'm telling you, Ricky, it's our secret sauce. Now, I have 14 companies across the nation right now, 14 different companies that have tried implementing this, and they are having a ton of success. All 14 of them have had it. Now, I went and did a Monday morning meeting for them to help them get started. They're maybe like early in their process, just to help them get the routine. And I always tell them, don't do what I do. Make your own recipe. Right, I'm giving you a couple ingredients, ideas, but make your own recipe. So I have this really good friend down in Oklahoma City. They have about 26, 27 people. They play basketball and have breakfast every Monday together. And then they do a life skill and a safety topic. That's how they do their Monday morning. We don't play basketball and we don't eat, well, we do breakfast once in a while, but not they do every single Monday. And I said, Chance, that is awesome. He goes, Matt, we are having such great dialogue at breakfast about where people are at in life that we're understanding each other better, so we work better together. And I'm like, that's what it's all about.
And see, a lot of times people will not even take that chance because that means you got to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And see, everybody's not comfortable being vulnerable, and I'm not suggesting that everybody become vulnerable. I'm just saying when you take that chance, sometimes it turns out for the better. And in most cases, it does turn out, just like the situation in Oklahoma City.
Yeah. And so I've got there's 14 right now that I'm tracking. Mostly I want to do this experiment. I sent Simon Sinek an email. By the way, he won't answer me. I keep sending him an email. Once a month I send him an email saying, I think I have found a tool for the blue-collar service industry worker to have more confidence and do a better job. And it's my Monday morning meetings. And then I was telling Stephen Covey about it, and he goes, well, Matt, what you're doing is you're extending trust. And you're extending consistency. Because every Sunday night, everybody knows that they're going to go to a Monday morning meeting.
Right.
And they know where they're going first thing. They know what's going. There's no guess. You don't lay in bed Sunday night thinking, I wonder what I have to do first thing tomorrow. No, you know. Right. The first hour is with us as a team, as a group. And it might be a little bit of a cheerleading. But if I remember right, back when you played for Tom Osborne, he would hold that clipboard and he would give his talk.
Yes.
And everybody knew we're getting ready for go time, and we're going to storm out on that field. And usually at halftime, he would make a couple little corrections and changes, and then you would storm that field, and once again, you'd take the game over.
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because that part of accountability is what popped in my head. That 7 o'clock meeting is basically laying the foundation for the week for accountability. See, accountability to me is priceless because so many people take it for granted. And I think when you're accountable, then you're just more productive. You kind of know what you got to do. Now, no one can make you do it, but you can't use that classic excuse of, well, I don't know. No, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be here together.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to do a life skill. We're going to do a safety topic.
Right.
And we're going to learn together.
And here's the thing about that that came to me was repetitive. I think repetitiveness is very important in anything you do, because as much as I hate to give credit to negativity, I have to give one credit to negativity. It's repetitive.
It is, and it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and it's repetitive. So if my philosophy is if I can turn that same repetitive energy into positive,
yes,
I love my chances of being successful. And anyone that is willing to take that chance, if you're repetitively being positive, I think it can reverse some things that you may be lacking.
I will tell you, I do have my tough moments where I struggle, but for the most part, you're going to see a smile on my face. Yeah. And when people call me and they say, how you doing? I say, I'm outstanding. And that's just what I always say. Yeah. And they're always like, how can you say that? And I'm like, it's that good of a day. I even have people that I haven't talked to for years, and they'll say, oh, I remember you. You're the guy that's all full of energy and outstanding. I'm like, you better believe it. Life is good, man. Right. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm having a good old time. We're having a hootenanny.
I laugh at myself sometimes because I even did it while we were downstairs getting ready to come up here. Somebody randomly walked by. How you doing today? It's another day in paradise.
Yeah.
I love that mindset because every morning that I am blessed to wake up,
yes,
it's funny to me, and I don't even know why, but it's just funny because I start smiling right off the bat. And I think it's just because I get an opportunity to see another day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what today holds. I mean, I'm not psychic, but I start smiling because I want today to be a productive and a positive day. That's just me personally. And everybody that, like you had mentioned, whether you're at the grocery store or wherever you're at, yep, I try to make people laugh. I try to make people smile. I try to make people's shoulders relax.
Yep. You know, and here's something I've been doing lately is I love to just say, hey, I'm going to lend you a little bit of my confidence.
There you go.
And I'm pouring it into you because you're going to do a great job today.
Right.
And you're going to go knock this job out of the park.
Right.
And I found out that just by that little bit of human touch and that little bit of positive, I'm lending you some confidence.
Right. Just positive reinforcement.
Yeah. So I have this friend of mine. She runs a software company. And I noticed that her confidence was struggling, and she's having a pretty successful software company, and I knew she needed a little bit of help. So I lined up a phone call for her with a very successful software company, like a $700 million software company, right? So she's $1 million software company, and she called me up and she goes, how did you make that happen? And I said, well, first of all, he's my friend, and I knew you would enjoy him because you're both very smart. But second of all, I knew you needed some confidence, and I knew he could do it better than I could.
Right.
So it was my way. So I think if we as a society, and by the way, for all the business owners out there, if anybody's listening to this, if anybody's listening to this, I want to tell you, the business owners,
everybody listen up. This is going to be important.
If you can go out of your way to make somebody else successful without taking any credit for it and giving it to somebody else, your company will grow at a speed that you will never recognize, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to lend our confidence and don't take any credit for it.
Correct.
Give it away. And it's one of the greatest gifts that you can give somebody. And it feels good to know that you just helped somebody else, and maybe even through somebody else. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you walk away going, all right, I did that. But you got to kind of check that ego and say, you know what? The good Lord gave me the opportunity to do that. That's why I did that. And I really believe that's a little bit of that Monday morning meeting it's my only way to try to lend my confidence to my team and say, I got you. I will take care of you. I'll do my part. But doggone it, you have to do your part too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that it is a two-way street.
It is.
And when you keep it, and this is one of my things, another one of my Rickyisms, I like keeping things simple. You know, and that's not easy
the old
to do.
KISS method. Have you heard the KISS?
Yeah,
keep it simple, Simon.
Yeah, I call it stupid. Keep it simple, stupid.
I use Simon because my daughter, when she was about 12 years old, she said, Dad, I thought you said we can't say stupid. And I was like, uh-oh. She got me. Yeah. So I changed it to Simon.
That's a good one.
I don't know why.
I might steal that one too.
Okay, all right. I love it.
But you know, the one thing about life for me is simple is much easier for me to stay on task.
Yes, sir.
Versus complicated. You talking about failing miserably? I failed miserably with complication in life. I have not done well when my life was complicated. Now, I know that some things are unavoidable. I get that. But, man, for me, the feeling I get from keeping my life simple, it's inspirational. Because let's just be honest. There's just a lot of things that are not going to make sense.
Absolutely.
And we still got to maintain and we still got to keep going. So quitting ain't an option.
Nope.
So if somebody's having a bad day, if I can help them laugh for 5 seconds, that's 5 seconds they're not having a bad day.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. And, we're all going to have bad days. It's part of this circle we call life, right?
Correct.
But it's really what you make of it. And that's why I've enjoyed your show and enjoyed who you are. I've enjoyed getting to know you because literally all people are like, hey, what's that Ricky like? I said, you know what? He's all about being happy.
Yes.
He just wants people to be happy, and that's not too much to ask for.
I don't think it's well, first of all, it doesn't cost you anything. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. It doesn't cost anything to be happy. Being positive and being productive, yeah, you got to put a little work into it. I get it. But at the end of the day, stress isn't my friend. That's just me personally. Some people do well with stress. I don't like stress that much. I know how to deal with it now, but there was a time where stress would always win with me, and I didn't like the consequences.
So stress doesn't bother me as bad, but disappointing people bothers me to a breaking point. And I can't see people get hurt. That's why safety in our company is so important to me. But I also can't. I just don't want to let people down. And when I let people down, whether it's a customer on a netting job or a fence job or even if it's just a family member, it eats me alive. Like the stress of running our business and borrowing money and seeing the stack of bills that come through, that does not stress me out. I mean, it's stress, but it doesn't affect me as much.
Right.
I'm probably just because of my upbringing. Right. Yeah, I had to work hard and figure things out at a young age. But boy, if I let somebody down, like I was really upset that I wasn't working out my dates with you, and it was really eating at me, and I was like, well, this just won't work. I just can't make this work, and I can't make. And what am I like? It was like getting me. And then when we finally settled on a date, I was like, oh, phew.
But that right there, that's exactly my point. The accountability is already instilled in you. You knew what you wanted to do. We just had to keep, and I could have very easily said, well, Matt's a busy guy.
No, I love what you did. You handled it perfectly.
Yeah, but see,
I mean, call me up and say, listen, I'm going to run you down. I mean, no, I'm kidding.
But you know what the good thing is? I'm just thankful that I didn't have that quit in me.
Good, me too.
Yeah, to say, well, you know what, Matt's just too busy. I'll get with him some other day. No, I wanted you on the show because, first of all, I respect you. And second of all, I love the energy that you show every time I see you. I love what you do for your company. I mean, most people that are, I know you don't like it, founders, I'm going to say it. I call it owners, but founders.
I'm a founder.
Yeah, most founders, they're not as interested in the people that are helping them stay on top as you are. I love that mindset of how you pour into people, man. That's just rare. And I just wanted to publicly say, man, I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not going to let you quit, even though you're not going to quit anyway. But I look at you as a friend.
Thank you.
And we're going to be friends because, as far as I'm concerned, I'm like a piece of furniture in your life now. You can't get rid of me.
I love it.
Man, I want to thank you, man, for being on the show.
It's my pleasure.
And I want everybody that's listening, please hit that subscribe button. And no matter what, I wrap my show the same way every week. Every day you blessed to see. You got to look like somebody and do that for yourself. Thank you. We'll see you next week.